Well, first of all, I think it begins within ourselves. And if you can go into a group where there are multiple religions, and if you have deep respect and honoring, it may not feel exactly right to you in the sense that it doesn't necessarily jibe with your own path. But if you can come from a place of respect and honoring and essential rightness of all paths, then you yourself become the avenue through which this greater awareness takes place. So I would say start there, and then perhaps the words will flow forth from you that are the things to say. I would just acknowledge that the interfaith movement is really strong on the planet. I've been to the Parliament of the World's Religions a couple of times and just beheld thousands of people coming together from different paths, different cultures, different costumes, different practices. And it wasn't even the content of the Parliament that was so important, it was the fact of it, that so many people were there and they came together to be with each other and to share and to look at the world from a combined and collaborative kind of place. There are scholars right now that say that we're in a second axial age. The first axial age was when the great religions that we know in the world came forth, and the second axial age is the movement away from our isolation within our particular paths and the seeking of this greater spiritual oneness. So what you're asking me about is actually what is happening, and I guess we each participate in it in the best way we know how.
Perhaps the path to becoming closer to God, to our spiritual nature, can be described as becoming closer to other people, if that's sort of an equivalent path, a parallel path that occurs.
I really love that idea, and that certainly has been true for me. I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, if we're knowing more about God, we're going to be hopefully seeing more of God in each other and in the self. It's probably God's self and then other. It would be incongruent for me to say that I am one with God, and yet I'm not doing my best to be in a place of love and alignment with my neighbor.
So would you say that God, actually, the ultimate being of God and the power of God, actually participates in human affairs and in what goes on, or is that sort of exclusively human interaction that is responsible for what happens on the earth with people?
Yeah, that's a big question. From the science of mind point of view, God is a presence, a power, and intelligence. We say there's one presence, one power, one life, one mind, one love, and in which we live and move and have our being. So it is in us, and we are in it, and that the love intelligence of God is what we interact with through our thoughts and our consciousness, and actually we bring it into expression in our daily lives. Is there a God that stands apart from the world and intervenes in human affairs, or visits dreadful things upon certain people? I don't think so. That doesn't really fit with my cosmology or my theology. Is there something that is greater than we are, that is responsive to our thoughts and to our consciousness? Yes, I think there is. And we also live on a planet that is a living being that has its own cycles and the things that it brings forth. I'm not sure that God visits earthquakes on people. I don't see that.
So I'm wondering, as far as what is involved in simply what in a typical service, say, does the practice of prayer, the practice of meditation, is that part of becoming closer to God and to our spiritual nature?
Our Sunday celebrations in many communities have kind of come from the church model. And even though we now call ourselves Centers for Spiritual Living, we are on a church model. And so certainly in the typical Sunday service, you would see those things. Although our services are very joyful affairs, and they may begin quietly with meditation and prayer, but there's always music, and there's a great talk, and there are announcements, and all those kinds of things. And then the kids come in at the end of the service, and we call them Sunday celebrations because that's the energy of it.
Ryan, are you still with us?
I am. I'm still here.
Since your experience had been with different churches growing up, how is anything that Kathy is sharing with us in contrast perhaps to some of the things that you had been raised to understand, or is there any contrast?
I feel a lot of it is pointing to a lot of what I've kind of been discovering and sitting with most recently. Like I always felt there was a one right way, and which way is that right way, and which religion is it, and for a while struggling with determining which path is the path for me personally, or one that is universally the right path. But yeah, a lot of the discussion tonight is touching on that sense of many roads to the same thing, and a sense of inclusiveness amongst various traditions. And something I've been focusing on, like I've always approached God intellectually, and I think a lot of my pursuit of truth, or my seeking to be in touch with something deeper for a long time, has been an intellectual search. And I think a lot of my frustration spiritually came through that a sense of wanting to connect with something beyond the intellect.